Hey, what's up, YouTube? I just wanted to make a quick video on reasons why you should not move to Colorado. I actually just spent the last year and 3 months living in Colorado, the Denver metro area, um, the first half of the year, and then I lived right outside of Boulder towards the end. Completely overrated, both of them. Um, so I'm just gonna get straight to it. The first thing I want to put on the list is the weather. Now, the weather in Colorado is horrible. Yeah, the sun is shining all the time, but that actually is a bad thing. It doesn't rain there. Uh, they're suffering from severe droughts, wildfires, which contribute to very poor air quality, which you'll notice if you come from the East Coast or down south, where we have really good airflow. You'll notice it right away. I had noticed it my first night in Colorado, and I feel like it's something serious and it's something to be taken into consideration for anyone who wants to move here, who's not from here, who's not used to that. Because I'm not from Colorado and I had high hopes for Colorado, and I remember scouring on YouTube videos, moving to Colorado, and it was always just kind of positive stuff. Nobody seemed to want to get down to the nitty gritty, the negative aspects of living there, which I feel like are important, because you need to weigh the pros and the cons. Um, you need to have pros and cons before you make a decision. And it seems like most of the videos on YouTube are just pros of Colorado, which honestly should have been my first uh, red flag that something was shady, because no place is perfect. But yeah, I talked about the weather. The weather here is not good. There's days where it is nice, but it's just so extreme. The weather's so extreme, and then it's so dry. If you're used to like a dry climate, it probably won't bother you that much. But if you're used to anywhere where there's humidity, where there's water, where it rains, you will feel it here. I thought that it would get better with time. The only thing that got better with time was me getting used to the elevation. But as far as me getting used to the dryness, that never got better. It actually got worse, and I started developing some breathing issues, which is a factor for why I left Colorado and why I will never go back if I can help it. Um, Another thing I want to put on the list is the people. Now, the people were okay, I guess, but I felt like for the most part they were very standoffish. Um, there's no sense of community in Colorado. At least in the Denver Boulder area, I didn't see that. Um, just no sense of community. Mainly because I guess everybody's from somewhere else and they're just kind of moving there in droves. And but just for example, me living in my apartment complex, like I lived in a pretty decent sized apartment complex, and you don't like I didn't know anybody around me, and nobody wanted to talk. Anybody who walked around just walked with their head down. Nobody really speaks. I mean, if people do speak, it's just hi and bye. I mean, nobody really takes the time to get to know their neighbors, people they are gonna constantly cross paths with. Um, yeah, there's just no sense of community, which is important. Um, uh, yeah, and then the no rain. I have the no rain on here, which kind of ties into the weather, but the fact that it doesn't rain, you guys, was so big for me, and it didn't really become an issue for me until towards the end when I decided I was ready to go. Because, man, like, you guys who live in places that have rain, you need to really appreciate it. Those days where it just rains and you can uh, sit and take a nap and just hear the rain bouncing against the window. And not even that, just what water is life. So without rain, there's no vegetation, there's no greenery, no plants, and very little wildlife. They say there's a lot of wildlife here, and I'm sure there is up in the high country, but it's so barren out here, man. I don't see what can survive out here. And it's only getting worse because more people are moving in, more people are draining the resources from the state, and it's just getting bad. And that leads to another thing on my list, which is the cost of living. The cost of living here is ridiculous and it's not worth it. That was my final straw. Uh, when I was living near Denver, I was paying about 1,200 for a one bedroom. But I had an issue with my neighbor. Her pit bull had attacked me and my puppy at the time. Thank God there were no injuries. Um, but she was completely. She didn't give two f's about me or my pup. All she started yelling all kind of racial slurs and stuff to me, and it was really disgusting. And she was a Colorado native, um, which really kind of just opened my eyes. I was just, like I don't really like the people there. The natives are pissed that people are moving to their state and I guess ruining it. But I don't know. I ended up moving from that apartment for that was I was paying 1,200 and I was near Denver and I moved near Boulder and was paying $1,600 for a one bedroom apartment in Boulder. And Boulder's nice, it's a cute little town, but it's not worth that. It's completely overrated for what you get. The people in Boulder were very snooty. Uh, I just didn't get a sense of community there too. It seems very fake and just I don't know. Nothing was genuine. There's no true culture, especially living down south, living in New Orleans, living in New York City. I've got to experience true culture in a city, true culture in an environment, and Colorado is lacking that. They have like a weed culture, but it's not good. Uh, which brings me to my next thing on the list is it seems that everybody is just high out here, and you think that would be good, like, oh, everybody's going to be chill, but it's really not because people are out here just high. And it comes to customer service, you go into a place and you can't even get decent service because the person working behind the counter is high and they don't care because they're high. That's Colorado. That's what's really going on around here. And it's not everywhere. Of course, I'm generalizing. There are some decent places, but this is just as a whole, my experience from my year and 3 months here. It just wasn't good. Um, Another thing I want to put on here is the crime rate. The crime is ridiculous here, especially in the Denver area. Um, and as you can see, that they just had a mass shooting again in Boulder at the King Supers, which wasn't far from where I lived, which is honestly kind of creepy. Once I had is that shooting had happened literally like a few days after I had left Colorado, so I just thought that was really crazy. But mass shootings aren't new to Colorado. Like I think one of the first school mass shootings happened in Colorado, the Columbine, and then they had the Aurora movie shooter, and then countless other mass shootings, that happened there. Like I don't know if it's the elevation, but there is this sense I never felt comfortable there. I never felt comfortable in Colorado 100%. I never felt at home there. I don't know what it was. It was just something in the air, something about it. It's not a wholesome place. I feel like maybe years ago it was, but it's been ruined. You just take a drive downtown Denver and you'll see what I mean. You have homeless encampments everywhere. It smells like urine in the city. It's gross. And nothing against homeless people. I've lived in my car for a year, and you know, I get it. Sometimes times are hard, and you gotta do what you gotta do to get by. But you still gotta be a decent human being, even if you're living on the street. Like you gotta be a decent human being, because what's going on in Denver, and anybody who's been there or lives there in 2020, 2021, you understand exactly what I'm saying. Would you take your children to walk downtown Denver? Hell no, you wouldn't. I wouldn't even take my dog. But anyways, um, yeah, just like I said, Colorado. I was just disappointed. I had very high hopes for Colorado. I had drove 2 days to get to Colorado. You know, you live and you learn. I'm not mad at Colorado. I take the experience for what it is. Uh, One thing I can say is that from the first day I got here, well, I'm not there in Colorado anymore, but from the first day I got to Colorado, I knew I just felt I was like, I want to leave. But I told myself, I'm like, you've only been here a day. You got to give it some time. So that's what I did. I gave it some time, and only time only exposed more things that I did not like about Colorado. And I wanted to post this video so people can at least have a real uh, just a real cons list so they can see just kind of like the negative aspects of the state so they can really have a good balance, because all these videos I keep seeing on here are just positives and positives of reasons to move here, and it's just this, oh, it's just a great place. And that's another thing, is just this fake happiness here in Colorado. I just left Colorado, so I still keep speaking as if I'm there, because I haven't been gone. I've only been out of Colorado for 2 weeks now, and God, thank God. I feel so much better to be out of there, just out of that high elevation, just to be in a place with real weather and rain and trees and green again. Like, I'm so thankful, and that's one thing I can say Colorado did, is it made me appreciate stuff that I never really thought about before, such as rain, such as the trees right there, such as green grass, and just moisture in the air and being able to breathe clean air, because Colorado's air quality is horrible due to the dryness, the wildfires, and the uh, really high population of people and all their cars and all that stuff going on, emissions, blah, blah, blah. Man, that place, man, I'm trying to tell you guys. And then it's expensive on top of that. It's crazy expensive. I left because I'm like, man, I'm not paying this. I was like, I'm not paying $1,600 for a 1 bedroom apartment, and I can't even open my window and get a fresh breeze. But yeah, you have the Rocky Mountains and the Flatirons in the distance, so they want to charge everybody an arm and a leg to live there, so you have access to something that God gave us for free. You know what I'm saying? It's just sick. Like, I'm glad to be out of there. I didn't enjoy it. It's overrated. The people were rude. Uh, it must be the elevation. They're crazy. Some people are nice, but majority of the folks up there got some mental issues. And yeah, I just I would definitely think long and hard if you want to relocate to Colorado. You, if you got a lot of money, if you are well off, you probably might have a better experience here. But even if I was rich, I would come here and see that it's just overrated. I wouldn't even spend my money here. There's so many other places that are so much more beautiful than Colorado, that give you what Colorado wants to offer. There's so many places in our country that offer that. Colorado doesn't give you anything. It it's done. Maybe a few years ago, it's full. Like this, they are right when they say Colorado is full. It's full. You move there now, you're gonna be a dime a dozen, pretty much. Um, but yeah, it's 2021 and Colorado sucks.